All right, guys, welcome back to another video. So we have a couple of things to talk about here, from Starfield to some information on some big upcoming games. But let's talk about Starfield, because Starfield has been this game that has released this year that has caused a lot of differing opinions. Now, the majority of people who have played this game are very high on it. Think it's a great RPG, including myself. From the amount of time I've played so far, I am really enjoying myself. It's gotten great reviews, and there is a consensus that this is a great game. And this game for Xbox and for Bethesda is absolutely paying off, as we have this numbers here from the Steam database that Bethesda has actually broken their all-time peak record of 280 or 278,000 players, which they previously had with Skyrim. They've broken it now with Starfield, with over 300k players in the game, and this is a huge number for them. It's validation that the game is good and that people are excited about a new IP for Bethesda, of course. But the other thing I think that this shows is, from an Xbox perspective, how well their strategy is working in terms of getting as many people into their ecosystem to play these ecosystem exclusive first party games. I wonder if it would have been like this if they had purchased Bethesda, but they were still on the console exclusivity thing. Most likely it wouldn't even be close to this amount of people playing it day one. It really validates their strategy of opening up their ecosystem to as many people as possible, which is the PC and the cloud side of things, and then including obviously the Xbox Series X and S. And it really shows that with these major first party exclusives, if you are a publisher of a game and you're a developer, or just with any game, if you're trying to make a exclusive on one ecosystem or the other, it's very clear that you're going to have way more people jumping into your game if you do go to the Xbox side of things, at least until PlayStation expands out their ecosystem where there would be more access. So very cool to see. It's really showing that they didn't even need PlayStation to beat these numbers, to set these records. And I'm sure Bethesda and Todd Howard are sitting there very happy with the direction of where Starfield has gone. Now, besides the absolute success of this game, and for a lot of people being one of the best games that they have played this year, there have been PlayStation guys who are still trying to pretend like it is on PlayStation. And it is pretty hilarious, because they want to play the game so badly, but they won't just go out and sign up to Xbox Game Pass for a couple of months to experience it on any device that they want other than the PlayStation 5. We've seen a couple of things here. First of all, somebody has made a Starfield themed PlayStation 5. They've also modded the game, so when you start it up, it shows the PlayStation Studios logo and all of these types of things, except for actually going out and getting an Xbox or getting into the Xbox ecosystem to actually play the game itself. And I think we've seen kind of the fallout, no pun intended here, from a Bethesda game, but the fallout of the game not being on PlayStation and how the reception that it's been. There has been a large negative reception for this game, and people are starting to argue and starting to think, is this only because it is not on the PlayStation platform, or are there legitimate arguments as to why this game isn't as good as a lot of people do believe? And one of those reviews that has now been included into the Metacritic score, which I think makes it even more absurd, that has dropped the overall Metacritic score for Starfield, is Jim Sterling's review. Now, Jim Sterling, if you read through this, it's a scathing review. He is pissed off at this game. He does not like it. And he lists all of the reasons why he gave it a 4 out of 10. So that is the final review score that was given, a 4 out of 10. You scroll down here, you will see overall a 4 out of 10. And the reasoning behind that 4 out of 10 is listed, that he says, if you're the kind of person who thinks that video games peaked with Fallout 3's launch version and they've required neither evolution nor improvement since, this game is absolutely for you. If you believe Bethesda doesn't need to exhibit growth as an artistic outlet and hasn't had to change a thing about the way it's made a game since 2008, I could safely say you'll adore Starfield, because it's all that a Bethesda game has always been and literally nothing more. Then gives it a 4 out of 10. Says Starfield is shallow ocean, hiding its lack of creative ambition behind the physical sides of a universe that's minuscule where it counts. In short, it's everything a fan of these games could love. But still, again, a 4 out of 10. Now, the reason I bring this review up is for two reasons. One, it affects the Metacritic score, which as a consumer, as a gamer, I couldn't care less about the Metacritic score of most games. Like if there's a game I want to play, if it has a 70, a 60, a 50 on Metacritic, I'm going to go check it out and see for myself whether the reviewers are full of shit or not. But where it does have an effect is with the developers of this game. I'm sure that they get their bonuses and all this type of stuff with the overall critical reception from the mainstream medium, the mainstream reviews, and the Metacritic score. And the Jimquisition and Jim Sterling being included in that score, giving it a 4 out of 10 purely out of reasons that you can say are completely biased based off of political leanings, because he literally reveals his cards in the first paragraph, I would say is not a good thing. The Metacritic needs to definitely review how they're accepting these types of review scores. Jim Sterling, the first thing he writes, well, I guess the third paragraph he writes, which I think makes this entire review instantly illegitimate from an objective point of view, says this: to call Starfield the least broken Bethesda game is akin to calling any single turf the least embarrassing fascist. Then again, given how ZeniMax and Bethesda seems to treat trans employees, that comparison may hit too close to home. So instantly, this is a review that has no legitimacy because it is all based on political ideologies. So there's really no point in even taking it seriously. Now, this also brings into question how legitimate is Metacritic. And when these types of reviews are included in that overall Metacritic score, I put out a tweet yesterday, it essentially means that the Metacritic scores for most reviewers and just reviewers in general, they're just meaningless because a lot of them are mired in their bias, political, console wars, all of that type of stuff. It is hard to find objective reviewers out there that don't have a complete bias in one way or another against the developer or against the platform. So this is a 4 out of 10, bringing down the Metacritic score, and Sony fanboys are jumping all over this and making it seem like Starfield is a bad game. That was just one thing. Then you have Grumps again. Now, I feel like this here is more of a troll, and it's one that he obviously gets a lot of attention when he puts out a tweet like this. You can look at the numbers, like 175k views and all of the engagement here that he is getting off of this. This one does seem more like a troll, but it's also an absurd take. This is from Grumps. It says, I didn't work on the travesty that was the bastardized launch version of Firefall that undid all of my work in the beta, but I am amused that every Xbot who threw that score in my face now has to deal with the fact that Starfield user score is much worse. Firefall 6.8, Starfield 5.6. Now, it's an hilarious take, also a bad take, because I'm sure he knows what is going on with a lot of these review scores. You go through, there's so many zeros and stuff, and you can see people haven't actually played the game as people just trying to bring the overall score down. A lot of it is probably because people are pissed off that it is not on the PlayStation platform. A lot of Sony fanboys going in there and trying to bring down the overall score of the game. Now, this isn't here me trying to completely defend Starfield and saying that you can't say anything bad about the game, because I've played so far about 25 hours or so of it. I know it's probably a lot less than a lot of people out there who've had it since it came out, but I'm trying to get in and play as much as I can when I do have the time. And it's not perfect. I love the game. I think it's a great game. I think it's a great overall game in terms of the score that it deserves. Like, I think at least a 9 out of 10 I would probably give it, but there are definitely issues in this game. And if people don't like sections of this game, don't like certain parts of it, don't like the fast travel stuff, they've ran into bugs. I've ran into a couple of bugs. It's definitely something that is absolutely okay to point out, but there is more effort here going on to make it look so much worse than it actually is. And some of these scores, like we just saw with the Jim Sterling review, are getting posted in to the overall meta score for the game, which just at the end of the day kind of confirms what I've always thought about reviews, about the meta score, about listening to some of the bigger guys out there, is that you need to really figure out the ones that are objective and just kind of listen to those ones. And the overall meta score is meaningless because you're going to have people in there that will be completely biased, either politically, at least now in today's day and age, or bias against the developer, bias against the platform, and those views and those review scores will be held in the overall meta score, which means, again, the score isn't that indicative. So when someone sends you an overall meta score, you gotta have to look further than just looking at what that number means, which is something I always do. And then finally, let's end off here with just a bit more Starfield news, because this is exciting, especially as we know mods are going to be massive in Starfield. With the amount of planets out there, people are going to be able to build their own stories and just give us brand new adventures in an already huge game. And it looks like that they will be coming very soon. And there will also be DLC. So this is from an interview with Todd Howard and Famitsu, and it says DLC will be released, but when it will be released, that's a secret. I'm sure that won't be for a long time. We did see a report, I think it was last week, just as Starfield was releasing, where they said that the DLC development was far behind, or there are some issues with it right now, which is absurd that they were even reporting something like that based off of a rumor, because the game is just releasing. It's not going to be a while until we get DLC. And then he also says this: full mod support will be available next year, and you'll be able to do almost anything like the previous games. So it's going to be coming to PC and to Xbox. So we're going to get access to those mods on Xbox. So 2024 for Starfield, the game is going to be rejuvenated again with a bunch of mods. I mean, this is a game we're going to be talking about now for years and years to come. And it's almost unfortunate right now that all of this review stuff is going on, where you have one side of, I guess, the media or the console wars that are trying to do everything they can to bring it down. And like I said, there's definitely things about this game you cannot like, but some of the reviews out there are just absolutely absurd. But I'm going to leave the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.